Firstborn Athletics.
What's going on, guys? Today we're going to talk about rate of perceived exertion, or RPE. This is a method to measure the intensity of physical activity. This is also often referred to as the Borg rate of perceived exertion scale. Reason being is it was invented by a scientist by the name of Gunnar Borg many moons ago. The differences between these scales are the RPE is a measured scale from 0 to 10, and it's measuring more for a sense of breathlessness, whereas the Borg rating of perceived exertion is a scale that is measured from 6 to 20, and it's more concerned with heart rate. For example, if they were to get a reading of 100 beats per minute, that would correspond to a 10 on the Borg scale, because just a 10 with a 0 at the end. If it were to be 70 beats per minute, then it would be a 7, so on and so forth. Now, while rate of perceived exertion is a subjective method, I use this often with my clients. It's a great way to find out how hard the client is actually working. So, for example, if we have a client that is running sprints, I'm not going to have them going at a 10 all the time. So what I'll ask them to do on certain rounds of those sprints would be, let's kick it or let's push it back to maybe a 7. Certain other rounds, yes, we will go up to a 10. Now, a lot of times people like to use heart rate monitors. If one is not available, the Borg scale is a great way to monitor heart rate. So if we're talking about a 0 on the rate of perceived exertion scale, we're talking about someone who's basically just laying on the couch on their fat. If we're talking about a 0 on the Borg scale, once again, someone who's laying on the couch on their fat doing nothing. Now, if we're talking about a 10, that could be someone who's pushing a car up a hill. You know, you're at maximum exertion, maximum effort. If you ever want to check how the Borg scale corresponds to your own heart rate, like I said earlier, you can use a heart rate monitor, or you can also take your own heart rate manually by doing this. If you want to take your heart rate, you're going to find your pulse on the inside of your wrist on the thumb side. You're going to put your first 2 fingers right on the artery. Then you're going to count your pulse for 30 seconds. Once you are done, multiply that by 2. That is your beats per minute. Remember, guys, the reason that we're talking about RPE at all is that it measures intensity. When we train with weights, we want to not just work on building muscle, we want to keep that heart rate elevated. So don't be the person that's walking around the gym on their phone for half of a 1-hour training session, because let's be honest, how long did you really train then? The goal is to keep your heart rate elevated for a specific amount of time. Research suggests that adults get at least 150 minutes a week of moderate intensity or 75 minutes of vigorous intensity aerobic activity. That's on top of your strength training sessions. That should be at least 2 or 3 days a week. All right, guys, so to wrap it up, rate of perceived exertion is a method to measure intensity level during physical activity. And while it is subjective, it still is a great way to measure the intensity level of an individual. I want to thank you guys for rolling with us today. Do not forget to like, comment, and if you have not subscribed to the channel, subscribe. It helps out the channel so much. I appreciate you guys as always for rolling with us, and we will see you on the next one. Have a good day, guys.